Greetings. Welcome back to the Spirit Walker channel. So we're here today in Olinda, Recife, Brazil. And this is the video that we have for you guys today. So we are here in Brazil, and what better place to have a conversation about Brazilian medium João of God, who has been accused of a number of things, a number of very serious things. And he is a medium, so he is a natural healer, he is a mystic, and he has been accused of sexual abuse of a number of women, including underage women. And there is far more to that as well, what appears to be the case. But we're going to discuss that in this video. So I'm not necessarily in the state where João of God was arrested, which is a state of Goiás, but I'm in the same country and I'm doing the research. I'm originally from Brazil as well. So I'm checking out the media, what the media is saying, which is still the mainstream media, except that it's the Brazilian mainstream media. So the information is a little bit limited in that sense, but we are going to go through and check this case out and discuss for you guys. Again, you know that this is not a news channel. So the Spirit Walker channel is not a channel for news, it's a channel for commentary, it's a channel for analysis. So I look at what is happening around the world and I give it a metaphysical analysis based on the law of one, based on the writings about ascension of humanity from a number of authors, also based on Spiritism and Buddhism. In this video, we're going to discuss a number of topics. Firstly, is João of God a real healer? Also, are the accusations against him real, or is that something that is made up? Maybe he was doing the good work, and people decided to make up accusations against him. So we are going to discuss that as well, and we are also going to discuss the possibility that if the accusations are true, why would someone that has contact with intelligent infinity do something as evil as rape and abuse? So we're going to discuss all of these things, and this is where we are going to start. So first of all, going through the amount or the sheer weight of evidence, the sheer amount of accusations, it's really not looking very, very good for João of God. The accusations are thick and fast coming, so there is a very large number of accusations. So it's not like he's been accused of inappropriately touching 1, 2, 3 women. It's not like that. So as at the time that I'm recording this, there have been 594 separate accusations of sexual abuse against him. Some of these accusations came from underage women, so came from children. And it's 596 accusations. And the Brazilian police has so far investigated and found that in at least 255 of these cases, there is solid grounds to proceed to a more formal state of the judicial process. So this is why he is locked up. So he is, it's something that's called in Portuguese, it's called prisão preventiva, which means it's something like preventive incarceration. So it's incarceration to prevent that the accused runs away. So basically, he hasn't been judged yet. So he is in this type of preventive incarceration, and he is going to, according to himself and according to his lawyer, he's going to cooperate with investigations, but things are really not looking very well for him. Basically, the modus operandi was that some women came to him to be healed, seek healing, etc., and he would, as usual, he would very often incorporate a discarnate entity. So he would incorporate another spirit, and he would take the women to some place in his compound, and then these women would be abused. And this is the way that the most of the accusations took place. But the sheer volume of accusations suggests that there is something pretty serious going on. And there is even the case of John of God's own daughter that came out and said, look, my father had been abusing me since the age of 10. So since she was a child, she had been abused by her own father. So basically, things are not looking good for John of God. So it really looks like he has made all of these attacks, and it's the balance or the weight of evidence is suggesting that he is indeed guilty of attacks and sexual abuse. There is also funnily enough, the Brazilian media hasn't covered this, but the Daily Mail in Australia, in the US, in the UK, and other media outlets in the US, UK, Australia, they also talk about the evidence that some US and Australian and probably UK or European couples were able to buy children from John of God. So it looks like he was running a type of a child farm in his compound, which is really a very serious accusation. So there have been accusations of him using some very poor women that weren't even able to feed themselves, and it looks like he was using these women as sex slaves. They would get pregnant, and then the babies would be sold. So it's really serious stuff. It's really sad stuff. The Brazilian media is not talking about these more serious accusations, but the Australian and the American media are talking about it. So, as I said, the Brazilian media is not very flash. The Brazilian media is also controlled so we also have the same issues of the mockingbird type media that plague the US. They're also true of Brazil. So the Brazilian media are not discussing this alleged child farm. I don't know why. That's something that to be discussed in the future. But so basically the idea, and I'm not a judge, of course, but the idea is that it really looks like he has been doing all of these things. He has the accusations. They seem to be true, to be correct. Now, the question that we all ask, the second question that we should ask is he a real healer? And the answer is yes, he is a healer. Healing is related to the unblocking or the developing of sixth chakra ajna, which is the brow chakra. which is something that stays between your eyes. It's called the third eye. And it's said that when you unblock or when you develop this chakra, you gain access to intelligent energy using the expression of the law of one. So the access to intelligent energy gives you some psychic powers such as telepathy and in some cases telekinesis and all of that, but it also gives you the ability to harness astral energy to perform healings. In fact, you are not the one healing anyone. What happens is that you transfer the energy to the patient, and the patient, if at higher self level, if the patient can heal himself or herself, then the healing will be affected. So you don't heal anyone. It's the patient that heals himself or herself. So the idea is that if you are ready, you will be healed. If you still need that disease because of either karmic issues or maybe that disease is leading you to have a think about your own patterns of behavior, then that disease will be deemed as necessary at higher self level and you will not achieve healing because the healing is dependent on some inner reform that the patient needs to do first. So all that the quote-unquote healer can do is to provide the energy that will allow the patient to make this decision at higher self level whether healing is warranted or not. So the idea is that yes, he did heal, he did have the power to heal. There is no question about that. He did heal even some very famous people. Like Oprah used to, or is known to have consulted with him. Apparently, also Bill Clinton is known to have been healed by this guy as well, and a lot of other famous people from the U.S., a lot of people from Australia, and a lot of very famous people from Brazil as well. Interestingly enough, even though I am originally from Brazil, but I didn't get to know John of God by name from my time in Brazil when I was still living here in Brazil. I learned about John of God from my Australian friends over there in Australia, where I actually live. So basically what happened was that I had some friends that came to me and asked if I wanted to go to a seminar. And in order to go to this seminar from a Brazilian healer, it was a 2-day seminar, I would have to pay the equivalent to something like, $500 US. So this was my introduction to John of God, and this was in 2017 or maybe 2016. And I thought that was very strange because the healers, the natural healers that I know, and the people in Spiritism that I know and respect, they actually heal for free. There is no such a thing as you come to me and you pay, and I'm going to do this quote-unquote miracle for you. I never heard of that from any serious, good-intentioned healer. It's all about, look, I will do the best that I can to heal you, but it's for free. If you want to donate anything, it's up to you, but it's always for free. So this is how this is how serious healers like Chico Xavier, they operate. This is how serious healers like Divaldo Franco operate. And this is how serious professionals, like in the US, for example, like Dolores Cannon or Barbara Brennan, and even Dr. Scott Mendelker. This is how they operate. And this is how avatars such as Nityananda or Jesus himself or the Buddha, they used to operate. There was no compulsory exchange of funds. It's not a commercial ability. It's not a commercial contract. So this was the first red light that I had about John of God a few years ago, back in 2016. Now, as I record this, it's 2019, and things are looking pretty grim for John of God. So the whole thing is unraveling. Now, so that was the red light, and there were other red lights as well. So, for example, during a recent interview to a foreign, I think it was a UK reporter, asked him if John of God had since the previous accusations, if John of God had abused anyone else, and his reply was he flew off the handle. He was very angry, and his reply was, "Yes, your mother." So basically, someone that doesn't have control over your own anger is someone that is in very serious danger of being manipulated by dark energies, by dark forces. So you never see Chico Xavier or Divaldo Franco or Dr. Scott Mendelker or Dolores Cannon. You don't see these guys flying off the handle like that. Why? Because they have developed what is needed to do the good work, which is an open and frank, loving heart, a loving anahata chakra, which is the heart chakra. That's the first thing that they have developed. The second thing that they have developed is control over their own mind. So it's not control to the sense of negative control, but it's control in the sense that they can use right speech. They know what to say, when to say it, and how to say it. So these are the hallmarks of a true healer on the positive path. And John of God doesn't really seem to have all of those characteristics. Now, something that is also very interesting, a question that we also need to address is, okay, we have established that he did have the power to heal. We have established that he did commit all of those crimes. The next question is, how is it possible that someone that was apparently dedicating his life to healing, how is it possible that someone like that could do evil things like sexual abuse? There are two possibilities. The first possibility, which is the possibility that I'm more inclined to adopt, to accept, is the possibility that he was manipulated. So he did get in touch with intelligent infinity. So in other words, he was a true medium. He could channel entities, but he wasn't emotionally and morally prepared. He wasn't ready for it. So he still had some blockages of 1, 2, 3 chakra, Muladhara, Swadhisthana, and Manipura. So he still had ego problems. He still had a desire for money. In fact, police found lots of money and guns in his inside his compound. So it looks like he was still operating from a blocked second chakra, Swadhisthana, and a blocked third chakra, Manipura. And even though he hadn't done all of this work for himself, he decided to go out and heal people and develop his mediunic skills. So when you do that, you open yourself to being manipulated by negative entities. Because in the same way that you can channel good spirits, you can also channel bad spirits. And the idea is that the only thing protecting you when you decide to do this type of work, the only thing protecting you is developing a pervasive and selfless love. So love and compassion for all beings. So it's a very bright green anahata chakra or heart chakra. That will be your only protection. If you don't have a pervasive love for all beings and for all creation, you will be attacked by negative entities and you will fall. And to me, it looks like this is the case that happened with this healer. He started doing healing. He did have healing powers, but he hadn't done the necessary homework to get in touch with the spiritual side, and he still had blockages. And because of these blockages, he ended up mixing with the wrong spiritual crowd. And it's actually quite possible that John of God himself doesn't have a memory of what he did, because this is what spiritual possession looks like. You open yourself, you are naive in the sense that you believe that the spirit that is talking to you is a good spirit, and you can't perceive that you still have blockages in 1, 2, 3 chakra, and also anahata chakra, heart chakra, and therefore you believe that you are the bee's knees and you can discern who is a negative spirit and who is a positive spirit. So you open yourself up and you get manipulated by the bad guys. So this is very common, and this is really not nice, not fun, because negative entities come around, they do what they want. In this case was to abuse women and extract loosh from them, abuse children and extract loosh from them, using the physical vessel of John of God. And now John of God is locked up in jail for that crime, because the police doesn't care that you were possessed at the time that you did something bad. You're going to jail regardless. And the very interesting but also creepy thing is that there were a range of psychic phenomena taking place at the police station when John of God was taken to give his deposition. So basically, there were computers freezing. There was a printer that started working out of the blue. No one had sent anything to print, but the printer just started printing something. The fridge blew up and caught fire. So basically, what this tells me is that there were a lot of negative spirits that were taking advantage of possessing John of God in order to extract loosh. But now that John of God is incarcerated, now this supply of loosh has been interrupted. And of course, the hell beings are not happy about it. So they try to disrupt, and they try to scare out the police with their childish trickery. And this is something, and I have experienced this type of stuff around me as well. Computers freezing when I need to do something that is related to spiritual work. I have experienced this quite frequently, and they will try to prevent the work from being doing. In this case, the police was exposing these attacks, and they were interfered with by negative astral forces, negative discarnate forces. Now, nothing came out of that because the negative side really doesn't have any power to do anything. They will only attack you to the extent that you have karma. If you don't have karma, they can play their childish tricks till the cows come home, but nothing really will happen. And this is what basically happened. The police personnel stood firm, and John of God was indicted, John of God was arrested, and John of God is in jail, and the supply of loosh was interrupted. Now, this is the first possibility. This is what I think is most likely to have happened. There is another possibility, which is the possibility that John of God was a healer, but he was true blue on the negative path. And we do have examples of this. We do have the example of the very famous example of Rasputin in Russia 1 century ago. And this guy did have real healing powers. I did study the life of Rasputin quite intensely, because the Law of One says that Rasputin was one of the people in the history of humanity that has graduated to fourth density negative. So in other words, Rasputin, after he shed his physical vessel, Rasputin went full on to the negative side, and he now has a fourth density body, which is a body that is now capable of telepathy, telekinesis, and he can teletransport himself and do all of these crazy things. He's in he is of course no longer on Earth. He's on another planet, but he is full blown on the negative side, on a negative planet somewhere where he is being sodomized by reptilians, but he is full negative. And so because of that, I studied the life of Rasputin very intensely, and the only conclusion that you reach is that he did indeed have the power to heal. He did have access to intelligent energy, and that is the development, as I said, of third eye chakra, ajna. That's when you start having healing powers. That's when you start having telepathic powers and all of that stuff. And in order to develop sixth chakra ajna, you don't really have to have a good heart. You can be negative and develop sixth chakra ajna. You can be a person that has dedicated your life to evil and to selfishness, as Rasputin has done, and develop your ajna chakra. That's possible. Now, I don't believe that this is the case with John of God. I don't think that this is how John of God how he has operated. I think that John of God is I think that he is a good person. I think that at some level he did have the intent to heal all those people, but because of potential blockages in Muladhara, Swadhisthana, Manipura, and Anahata chakras, which we all have. We all have selfishness, we all have insecurity, we all have fears, we all have greed, to more or less degrees, but we all have these things. So because of all of those blockages, he got caught. He started mixing with the wrong crowd, and as a result, he did all of those horrible things, and now he is paying for that. So to finish, I would like to finish in a positive note, a very, very positive note, because a lot of people are seeing this as a negative development, as negative news, or there's just one more, pedophile, just one more sexual predator, etc. I don't see like that at all. I see that as a result of humanity awakening, that these things, these evil acts, cannot be hidden anymore. Humanity is awakening. All of these things are bubbling up to the surface. All of these things are becoming known by everybody. And this is a clear sign that the consciousness of humanity, the collective consciousness of humanity, is vibrating at a higher level. We are not going to be deceived anymore. This is clear evidence that the process of ascension, the process of the development of the kingdom of God on this planet is well underway. Things are happening. All of these crimes are being exposed, and this is absolutely fantastic news. Thank you for watching. So please share, like, and subscribe. See you next time.